Welcome, everyone, to the Hank Haney Podcast here on nofilter.net. You can check out the Hank Haney Podcast here on No Filter, and you can also see it on the Hank Haney Podcast YouTube channel. And you can hear the Hank Haney Podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. So today I want to talk about all the news that's happening with the LIV PGA Tour talks, because there's been a lot of stuff going on. And I've been waiting for something to happen on this because this happens to be one of my favorite topics. I love this topic. And I've been waiting to see what's going to come down next. Well, it finally started happening. One of the first things that started happening was when they were talking about the fact that the Public Investment Fund, which is the Saudis, Yasser Al-Rahman, he's the head of the Public Investment Fund. They said he's talking to the European Tour. Well, actually, prior to that, there was news that all these LIV guys, Sergio, Patrick Reed, everyone that is LIV that also had status on the, Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, all these guys that had the status on the European Tour, DP World Tour, as they call it. They were all of a sudden, they're all going to get to play. John Rahm, they're all going to get to play. Now, they paid their fines, and they're back in. Now they should have never been. That was one of the dumbest moves ever when the European Tour got rid of those guys. They should have made and went in bed with the PGA Tour on whatever it is they were going to do together. You knew they were going to get screwed. And sure enough, nothing as good has happened to the DP World Tour since that whole thing happened. They should have gone from day one and paired up with the Public Investment Fund and the LIV, and that would have been a great deal. So this rumor comes down that first the players are going to be playing. They're back. They paid their fines. I don't know if they paid their fines. I don't know. People are saying they need to pay back all their money. That was never going to happen. All the money they got from LIV, no chance that was going to happen. But people were saying that. And then they were saying they had to pay their fines, and they had all these enormous fines. I don't know if the LIV paid the fines or the players paid the fines, but whatever happened, these guys are back on board, and they're back playing. I mean, Sergio's paid up. I don't think everybody's back, but some of the, most of the guys are back, and they're gonna be playing in an upcoming DP World Tour tournaments, which is good news for the DP World Tour, because that tour's hurting, and they need some help. So this could be a big thing for them. This could get them going. They should have taken the money from the Public Investment Fund, from the LIV. They should have paired together with them. Maybe it's not too late. Because the rumor is that the Public Investment Fund is talking to the DP World Tour about maybe they're going to do something together now. We'll see. I mean, that remains to be seen. But maybe that was just a negotiating tactic. You never know what's going on here. I mean, it's so hard to tell what's going on. But maybe that was just a tactic to get the PGA Tour to sign on to whatever deal it is they're trying to negotiate, because this thing has been dragging on. I mean, like, how long has this been going? I mean, does it take this long to make a deal? And you keep hearing that it's close, and I'm sure now it's holiday season, But my guess is something's going to happen, pretty soon. I think you're starting to feel there's enough rumors going on. They're talking about teaming up with the European Tour. They're talking about, you got the big match coming up, the crypto.com showdown with Bryson and Brooks, Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka against Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy. I mean, that's those are the two biggest guys on LIV and the two biggest guys on the PGA Tour. I mean, that's as big as it gets right there. And they're playing the match out in Las Vegas coming up, just on the 17th of December. So that's coming up. And then there's the rumor also going on that the PGA Tour and LIV are close. They're close, and we've heard this before, but they're close to putting something together. This was on Bloomberg, so it's a this is just not a guy on the X on the Twitter. This is somebody who is a news reporter, business reporter. And they said they're close to putting this deal together, and the Public Investment Fund is going to end up owning 6% of PGA Tour Enterprises. Now, PGA Tour Enterprises is like the new division of the PGA Tour. Of course, I don't know how do you buy 6% of a charitable company? I thought the PGA Tour was a charitable company. Well, they came up with this new division, and they're going to have a make money side and a charity side, I guess, is what they're going to do. And the Public Investment Fund's going to own 6%. Now, they were talking about putting in like $3 billion or whatever. Now, surely they're not putting in any $3 billion for 6%. That would be that'd be a little stiff, because they said, I read somewhere where they said that the tour was valued at total investment at $12 billion. Sure seems like it would be more than that, but I don't know. And then they said that it was going to cost them $720 million. That doesn't sound like the $3 billion or $1.5 billion or whatever it is. That sports group put in $1.5 billion with all the sports owners, the strategic sports or whatever that whole conglomerate was called. I don't know. Who knows what the deal is? But it doesn't sound like this is a merger. Let's put it that way. This sounds like it's going to be some kind of a partnership deal. I can tell you what, everybody thought LIV was going away. LIV's not going away. Now, I do think LIV is done buying players. There was a rumor last week that Tony Finau was headed over there. And of course, the Schauffele, Xander Schauffele rumor, that's like every other week, you hear about that. I don't think any of that's going to happen. I think they're done buying players. I really do. Now they may get a couple guys, but they might, they pay off. They got some big purses. They don't have a lot of players, 60 players or whatever they're up to now. I think they don't have a lot of players. They got huge purses. I don't think they have to pay. The LIV is kind of, for years they talked about how the PGA Tour had, you got the PGA Tour, you got the Champions Tour, and, the guys that are 40 to 50 years old, they're kind of stuck in no man's land. They weren't making enough money on the PGA Tour. They're waiting till they become 50 and they could play on the Champions Tour. There's not a lot of money on that Champions Tour anyways. So I think the LIV kind of looks like it, and it's looked like this for a long time. I mean, they've got some exceptions, Cameron Smith, John Rahm, Koepka. I mean, I'm not saying these guys can't play, and they're good. They're great names. They've won major championships. But it's kind of a 40 to 50, maybe 38 to 50, maybe 38 to 55. I don't know. You got Phil Mickelson out there, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think that's bad. People make a name for themselves, and then they got the opportunity to go out there and play on LIV. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But I don't think LIV is going away. I don't think it's going away. I don't think there's going to be some big merger. I think the LIV is going to turn into more. They're going to play worldwide more, and it's a tour for guys that maybe don't want to play as much. It's a tour for guys that want something a little different. It's it was a tour for guys that got paid a lot of money. And I think in general, I've said this many times, everybody on these tours is all going to be playing less golf. They are, because they're all making more money, and they're not going to be out there playing 34, 35, 36. I remember back in the day, touring pros played 36, 40 weeks a year. That's not going to happen anymore. These guys are playing less, getting paid more, and that's a perfect scenario for them. And I think that's how it's gonna continue. Now, the other news was Greg Norman is not going to be the CEO anymore. Now that's interesting, because that was long rumored as a stumbling block too, because the PGA Tour and Greg Norman don't get along. and Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour. It's amazing. Like, everything you read, that guy makes $24 million a year. Like, I said something like that last year. Like, he made more than like everybody but Scotty Scheffler. Something like 2 years ago or something. They said. I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, and people, I don't know. I mean, geez, you listen to people talk, they're like, how's this guy still have a job? But I don't know. I mean, he grew the purses, he grew the fields, and but boy, he botched up this LIV thing. There's no doubt. I mean, golf's been a mess. Will it get back together? Maybe getting rid of Greg Norman is something that's going to help that happen. Another thing that might help it happen, and a lot of people put some hope on this, is this big match thing. The match in Las Vegas, December 17th. Bryson and DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka against Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy. There's the big names right there. And when you listen to these guys talk, Rory said it took a little while for me to get through to the PGA Tour, that this would be a good thing. But they're behind it. At first they weren't really talking about it much. The LIV was promoting it, but PGA Tour wasn't. But then I listened on the Sirius XM the other day. I was just listening to it today, and they were talking about the showdown match, and I'm like, I couldn't believe my ears. They're talking about something that has to do with LIV, and they were actually had a positive tone of voice, which was amazing because they can't. I mean, they hadn't been able to get a positive thing out of their mouth about LIV. No, that's LIV's the evil thing, and all of a sudden it's a flipper switcher. I mean, it's like a 360. It's like a flipper flopper. They are now talking about it in a little bit more positive light. So you get the feeling that something's going to happen. And Scotty Scheffler made the comment. He said we hope we can get everybody together, and only playing against these guys, only playing against Brooks and Bryson 4 weeks a year is not very good, not good for golf. Wish we could play together like 20 weeks a year. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Maybe 8. How about 8? 8 would be good. 8 weeks a year. Somehow they got to figure that out. Let's just the whole golf thing needs to be redone, revisited. And 8 weeks a year, 4's not enough. 8 would be good. All the best players together playing 8 weeks a year, and I don't know where they're going to get those 8 weeks from or where they're going to be, but that seems like that would be a doable goal. 8 weeks a year where all the best players play together. If that happens, I think golf will be in a really good space. There's also a rumor. And it was, I think Mickelson said it. I don't know if Rory said it. I mean, a couple guys, maybe it was Mickelson and Bryson. I mean, they're obviously hearing stuff. They're in the know. They're in the loop. And they said there's a possibility, maybe next year. Who knows? Not in the too distant future. A PGA Tour versus LIV match, and that's the one that everybody wants to see. Well, you know what that is? That's a money maker, is what that is. Like think about how much money the Ryder Cup makes. That stupid President's Cup makes money. My God, what would the LIV and the PGA Tour? What would that be? That's another match they could put together. And I mean, it's got to be able to make 50 million, doesn't it? I mean, maybe it makes 100 million. I don't know what it makes. Scott's got to make a lot of money. A 3-day match, put it together. Maybe that's something that's very, very doable. And you got to think that would be the first thing on the agenda. If there's this new PGA Tour Enterprises, and it's a company that the Public Investment Fund owns 6% of, the PGA Tour owns, and then you got the Strategic Sports Partnership, all those sports owners, from the Atlanta Falcons and the Boston Red Sox, and everybody that's in on that. Those guys, you got to think the first thing they would do, like, okay, what are we going to do? How's this business going to make money? We put all this money into this thing. We want to see this business make money. I mean, and how could we make it make money? I mean, the first thing on their list has got to be PGA Tour LIV match. Got to be. So that seems like a foregone conclusion, and that'll be great for golf. And you know what I cheer for? Here's what I cheer for. I don't care LIV. I don't care PGA Tour. All I care about is golf. I just want golf to do good. And I think it's my prediction. By the end of the year, maybe not too far into 2025, maybe right about the time Donald Trump, who by the way was seated next to Yasser Arafat at the UFC fights in Madison Square Garden, sitting right next to him. He had Elon Musk on one side, he had Yasser on the other side. And you know who he was playing golf with like the week before Donald Trump played? He played with Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour. Donald Trump said it'd take him 15 minutes to put this deal together. You know what it looks like? It looks like he's helping put that deal together. And when he does, golf's going to benefit. And that's all I care about. I just want golf to benefit. That's what I want. All right. Hope everybody enjoyed the podcast. Make sure you watch all the great programming here on nofilter.net. And we will talk to you soon on the Hank Haney Podcast.